April 1st, 2023, Daily Bread. Passage, Job chapter 1, verses 1 through 22. Key verse, 21. Title, A Righteous Man is Tested. In the land of Uz there lived a man whose name was Job. This man was blameless and upright. He feared God and shunned evil. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters. And he owned 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 donkeys, and had a large number of servants. He was the greatest man among all the people of the East. His sons used to hold feast in their homes on their birthdays, and they would invite their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. When a period of feasting had run its course, Job would make arrangements for them to be purified. Early in the morning, he would sacrifice a burnt offering for each of them, thinking, "Perhaps my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." This was Job's regular custom. One day the angels came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them. The Lord said to Satan, "Where have you come from?" Satan answered the Lord, "From roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it." Then the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil." "Does Job fear God for nothing?" Satan replied. "Have you not put a hedge around him and his household and everything he has? You have blessed the work of his hands, so that his flocks and herds are spread throughout the land. But now stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face." The Lord said to Satan, "Very well then, everything he has is in your power, but on the man himself do not lay a finger." Then Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. One day, when Job's sons and daughters were feasting and drinking wine at the oldest brother's house, a messenger came to Job and said, "The oxen were plowing and the donkeys were grazing nearby, and the Sabeans attacked and made off with them. They put the servants to the sword, and I am the only one who has escaped to tell you." While he was still speaking, another messenger came and said, "The fire of God fell from the heavens and burned up the sheep and the servants, and I am the only one who has escaped to tell you." While he was still speaking, another messenger came and said, "The Chaldeans formed 3 raiding parties and swept down on your camels and made off with them. They put the servants to the sword, and I am the only one who has escaped to tell you." While he was still speaking, yet another messenger came and said, "Your sons and daughters were feasting and drinking wine at the oldest brother's house, when suddenly a mighty wind swept in from the desert and struck the 4 corners of the house. It collapsed on them, and they are dead, and I am the only one who has escaped to tell you." At this Job got up and tore his robe and shaved his head. Then he fell to the ground in worship and said, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised." In all this, Job did not sin by charging God with wrongdoing. Daily Bread Message. Introduction to Job. The book of Job is set around the time of Abraham and tells the story of a godly man whom God allows to suffer greatly as he loses all his possessions, his family, and even his health. Job is tempted to curse God for this, but he does not do so and maintains his integrity. The initial narrative portion of the book is only 2 chapters long. The middle and the longest section of the book is a debate between Job and 3 of his friends, written as poetry. Job asks God difficult questions about his suffering, and his friends try to answer him through their religious understanding. Near the end, a 5th and younger person, Elihu, joins the argument. Finally, God speaks from heaven, rebuking Job's three friends for speaking unjustly about him, and restores Job's fortunes. Even among unbelievers, the book of Job is considered one of the greatest works of ancient literature because of its profound reflections on the purpose of human suffering. Through prayerful study of the book of Job, we can honestly confront the problem of suffering and understand better how it is addressed by the gospel of Jesus. Job was an exemplary character, fearing God and shunning evil, and even praying to atone for his children's sins. God was proud of Job and showed him off as an example that Satan does not rule everyone's heart in this world. But Satan accused Job of only loving God because he was blessed. So as a test, God allowed Satan to destroy everything Job owned and even kill his children in a storm. It is difficult to understand why God would allow Satan to do this. But God was always in control, setting limits on Satan's power. Our life is part of a larger spiritual struggle that we cannot see now, but can only grasp by faith. Job easily could have blamed God for allowing this to happen to a righteous man, but instead, Job still praised God. If anything, his terrible loss made him worship God even more deeply for his almighty power. His praise was not dependent on what he got for himself, but on who God is. Job was already winning a great spiritual victory. Prayer. Father, thank you for Job's example. I also don't know the reason for many of my sufferings, but help me win a spiritual victory by worshiping you in steadfast faith. One word, we can praise God no matter what.